And so that's what he did. And after he held him, Joseph gave a command to fill their sacks with grain, to restore every man's money to his sack, and to give them provisions for the journey. And thus he did for them. And so they did that. They loaded up, they take off, they loaded their donkeys with the grain and departed from there. But as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey feed at the encampment, he saw his money, and there it was in the mouth of his sack. Now, if you've dealt with your sin, you're going to handle this likely in a healthy manner, but notice what happened to them. He said to his brothers, my money has been restored, and there it is in my sack. Their hearts failed them, but they were so afraid, saying to one another, what is this that God, they blame God for this. I actually think God did have a hand in this. But when we don't deal with sin, this is what happens. Rather than just saying, hey, we accidentally got our money given back, let's go back or send somebody back to give them the money. On the second trip, they're going to offer the second money, but they were given too much money back, and they should have dealt with it. It's very fascinating, isn't it? Well, let's make this personal for a minute. Have you ever been in a store and been long changed, right? You know what short change means, right? You're in a store and you pay for something, they don't give you enough money. Are you going to tell them when they don't give you enough change back? You're going to be faithful to tell them, hey, you didn't give me enough change. Have you ever been given too much money? Did you rejoice for a moment? Thank you, Lord, for the gift. That's not your money, right? It was an accident. I've had about 2 times when our kids were younger. One time we were in a restaurant and that happened. And to the Lord's credit, I knew that was not the right thing. So I went back. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. They look at you like you're a freak. What? I gave you too much money? Yeah. I don't want you to be hurt. You're the cashier, and if you're short at the end of the night, that's going to be a mark on you. I don't want to take. It's not my money. Hey, let me tell you one of the greatest stories. Many years ago, I knew a guy that was a youth pastor at the time. This was in this area, and it's a very important lesson because as Christians, we need to learn this lesson. He'd gone to a restaurant with his kids, and it was a fast food place, and he bought the food he was buying, and he gave the lady the 20, and she came back $10 too much money. But here's what's really amazing. He's looking at it, and he tells a story. It's very funny describing it. Yes, Lord, you gave me my food and some money back. But he knew, he says, I have to return. He went up to the young girl who he had bought the food from and said, ma'am, you gave me too much money. And she looked at him and said, I know. Yes, I did. What do you mean? Well, you're a youth pastor at such and such a church. She named it and said, I came to your church a couple weeks ago and heard you preach to the youth, and I want to know if you were honest. Wow. Yeah. It was worth $10 to her to find out, because he might have walked away with it. It's very important as Christians. We have integrity all the time. We always tell the truth. Very interesting.